The street is a strange place. It knows who you are, but never talks to you. So you don't know its story. You don't know that while taking you from one end to another, it silently witnesses your life go by. You don't know that it connects you with millions of others who take it just like you. You also don't know that it keeps some people alive. When you're a buyer, your life is about choice. But when you are a seller, it is about a fight to ensure that you are chosen. That is why several alternative modes of selling goods and providing services exist across the world, from the MNC to the local store, and from the local store to the street entrepreneur. The Moongphali wala you cross on the street on your way to work, the chai wala outside your workplace, the seller of inexpensive garments whose makeshift shop people throng to in the local weekly market. The barber giving his customers a haircut under the shade of a tree near your neighborhood park. The local puncture repair shop. All these people and many more who make the market cheaper for you and make goods and services conveniently available for you depend upon the street for their survival. In India, the concept of informal markets and street vendors is as old as the hills. However, we succeeded in coming up with a national policy on street vendors only in 2004. Its latest and revised version, the National Policy on Urban Street Vendors 2009, defines a street vendor as a person who offers goods or services for sale to the public in a street without having a permanent built-up structure. Government estimates indicate that in several cities, street vendors account for about 2% of the population. As a workforce, they are a part of the more than 90% people who are involved in informal sources of employment, meaning thereby that they do not have employment security, work security, and social security. But even while operating in an informal setup, they have been organized and united under the banner of the National Association of Street Vendors of India, or NASVI.
NASVI, the National Association of Street Vendors of India, started as a network in 1998, and that time the policies of the government, or we can put it in the other way, that because of globalization and because of fast urbanization, the street vendors were facing a lot of problems, and most of the municipal bodies had stopped giving licenses to street vendors. And because of the focus on beautification of cities, and because of the aspiration of the political class to create more Hong Kongs and Shanghais, there was a lot of repression on the street vendors. So we thought of coming together, and a network was born. The raison d'etre of NASVI was to get a national policy for street vendors. Today we have around 550 member organizations. In 2003 we got registered, and we have 3.5 lakh members, paid members. They pay membership fees, and we are working in 22 states, and we also work with the state governments, and we also have been working with many municipal bodies, big municipal corporation like MCD, and small municipalities like Bulandshahr or even smaller than these cities.
NASV has been at the forefront of pushing for guidelines and legislation to regulate this sector, which is huge in size, both in terms of numbers and net worth of the business transacted.
The National Policy 2004 estimated that there are around 1 crore street vendors across the country. But if you take any big cities like Delhi or like Mumbai, so in Delhi we estimate that around 3.5 lakh street vendors are there in Delhi, despite all these evictions. If you look at an average street vendor across the country, it would be like 1,000 worth of business in a day. And if you can multiply with say 3 lakh street vendors in Delhi with 1,000 average business per day, you see the contribution. It's just huge.
According to the report on conditions of work and promotion of livelihoods in the unorganized sector, prepared by the National Commission for Enterprises in the Unorganized Sector, approximately 25 to 30% of the street vendors in cities are illiterate, and another 20 to 24% have attained only primary education. This indicates that they tend to take up the activity as last resort to obtain a living. Land is always at a premium, so getting a permanent shop to make a living is a dream. And even if you have land, setting up a shop is still a task next to impossible. So they choose to take to the street. According to the national policy, there are 3 basic categories of street vendors. Stationary vendors who carry out vending on a regular basis at a specific location, peripatetic vendors who carry out vending on foot with baskets on their head or slung on their shoulders, and those who sell their goods on push carts, and mobile street vendors who move from place to place vending their goods or services on bicycle or mobile units on wheels. They also include vendors selling their wares in moving buses, local trains, etc. People are largely happy to have them in their midst.
The relationship with the customers has been excellent, and that's the difference between the relationship which you see today with the street vendors and the relationship which you see in big retail shops. Here the relationship very personalized. We tend to go to a particular vendor to buy our vegetables, or go to a particular food vendor to buy things we would like to eat. So very personalized relationship has existed. These resident welfare associations, they are doing a very illegal kind of thing, and the government is not doing anything on that front. Is that they are issuing licenses to the street vendors to move into their area. So they have to pay a fee to this resident welfare association. The institution who should be charging the license fee should be the municipal authorities, not the resident welfare association. The sad part is that the police has always been against the street vendors, and they are also empowered because of certain rules under IPC and the Police Act and the CRPC. Unfortunately, because of lack of action by the municipal authorities, the street vendors are exposed to vulnerabilities by police, by antisocial elements, by resident welfare association.
But are vendors happy with the state of affairs? How tough or easy is it for them to sell their wares on the street?
I'll say it's toughest. Why? Because think of someone who has left everything. If I leave my home, go out and try to make some money to sustain myself and my family, and I'm on the street, so how tough it is. So you have to first face the weather conditions, right? If it's raining, you are in open. If it is sunstroke, you are in open, whatever the climate condition is. Then also you can't leave your goods and go for even a break. Life starts right at 3 o'clock in the morning. They wake up, get ready, go to the far away wholesale market, bring back this stuff by 7 o'clock. Then they have to, display it, set up their own small stall, be there all the day. So afternoon to everything, and then they close the shop around 10 o'clock at night, and then once again the day starts at 3. So one of the things, one of the street vendor told me that I have seen my son only on the bed. I have never seen him in action. So this is what you can think of how hard the life for a street vendor can be.
But these problems fail to break the entrepreneurial spirit. There is a temporary lull sometimes, but very soon business gets back on track. A sizable number of India's street vendors operate in a mobile format known popularly as weekly hearts, which is known as Tehbazari in Delhi. The Municipal Corporation of Delhi has divided the city into various zones, and in each zone, a group of street vendors take turns to collectively visit 7 different areas on 7 days of the week. They set up makeshift stalls in these weekly markets where they put up their wares for display and typically cry out loud to grab the attention of potential buyers. It is unbelievable how a dull street is transformed into a thriving marketplace in a matter of a few hours, once every week. From fruits and vegetables, cosmetics, jewelry and kitchenware, to garments, bed sheets, rugs and all items that are used in a household. You name it, they have it.
After the partition, people came to India. They were hand to mouth. They started selling goods in these bazaars. And then this thought came, Mondays, this area is holiday, as Paharganj closed on Monday. They started spreading on Monday in Paharganj. Sunday, Chandni Chowk used to be closed. They used the patri for selling the goods. Monday, Karol Bagh is also closed. They sit there also and they start earning their livelihood. Tuesday, Tilak Nagar. Wednesday, Moti Nagar. Thursday, Ramesh Nagar. Friday, Patel Nagar, Rajouri Garden. Saturday, Subhash Nagar. So in all week, they sit, they sell goods, they start sitting around 4 o'clock and remain there till 10 o'clock. See, when I started in Tilak Nagar, I used to go to Tilak Nagar to sell goods. The ladies suggested there on Tuesday, this area we are free, better you come on Tuesday. So Tuesday I used to go. Now for attracting that I have come, we used to, ये लॉन टेनिस का जो रैकेट होता है, आफ्टर leather putting on both sides like Damru, we used to, that was the signal that cloth sellers, weekly bazaar people have come. 1 has come, 2 has come, 3 has come, like this. It went to now around 2,000, 1,500 people sit, they sell goods, and we sell goods at a throwaway price because there's no cost of the infrastructure, there's no cost of the further recruiting the staff. See, what we sell in 500 rupees, from the showroom you will get 2,000, 2,500 rupees.
A weekly market has a life of its own. Colors, sounds and a multitude of faces. Let us try to show you a glimpse of what life in a weekly market looks like.
अरे 3 रुपए दो ना, अरे दे दो ना, 1 रोटी पैसा का।
इसकी एमसीडी पर्ची काटती है हमारी डेली, और डेली लगाते हैं हम 3 बजे से रात को 11 बजे तक, दोपहर 3 से 11 बजे तक।
दोपहर 3 से 11।
हाँ।
ये हर जगह का टाइम सेम है या अलग अलग होता है?
सिर्फ करोलबाग का सुबह लगता है और बाकी दिन शाम को लगता है, 3 बजे से रात को 10-11 बजे तक।
कितने की पर्ची?
करोलबाग क्षेत्र में 15 रुपए की पर्ची है।
अच्छा, और क्षेत्रों में अलग अलग है?
और क्षेत्रों में कम है पर्ची,
कम है,
वहाँ 10 रुपए की है।
अच्छा, ये
करोलबाग क्षेत्र ही।
ये फर्क क्यों है?
ये तो एमसीडी बता सकती है, हम बता सकते हैं।
हमारे पास ना 10 लाख है, 20 लाख रुपया है कि मैं अपनी दुकान खोलूं, किसी तरह अपनी पटरी पे गुजारा करता हूं। और हम माननीय मनमोहन सिंह से मैं कहना चाहता हूं और दुख हृदय से कहना चाहता हूं कि किसी तरह पटरी वाला का मुश्किल सुने। और किसी बार सोमवार को बाजार नहीं लगती, 26 जनवरी से हमें क्या लेना था, 26 जनवरी में हमारी बाजार बंद हो जाती है। उस टाइम में टूरिस्ट के ग्राहक होते हैं, उस समय हमारी कमाई का साधन होता है, उस टाइम में हमारी बाजार बंद होती है। दिवाली और दशहरे में बाजार भी बंद हो जाते हैं। इससे मैं माननीय मनमोहन सिंह और माननीय सोनिया गांधी से भी कहना चाहता हूँ, गरीबों को सुने और गरीबों के हक में ही बात करें।
कब से लगा रहे हैं आप यहाँ दुकान?
हमें 40 साल हो गए सर जी।
और दिल्ली में कहाँ रहते हैं आप?
दिल्ली यही पुरानी ओल्ड सब्जी मंडी।
अच्छा, और 7 दिन घूम घूम के लगा?
7 दिन घूम घूम।
अच्छा, कुछ बताइए हमें, टेबलदारी का सिस्टम कैसे काम करता है?
टेबलदारी, टेबल वाले पैसे ले जाते हैं, टेबल ले दे के देते हैं, और तय बाजारी होती है वीकली, डेली पर्ची कटती है तय बाजारी की।
कौन काटता है पर्ची?
यही एमसीडी वाले।
कितने की होती है?
10 रुपीज़, 20 रुपीज़ 2 है, किसी बाजार में 15 भी है, अलग अलग रेट हैं सबके,
अलग अलग बाजारों के हिसाब?
बाजारों के हिसाब से। हाँ, बाजारों के।
और जितना बड़ा जितना एरिया
6 बाई 4 के हिसाब से
सबको 6 बाई 4 का ही मिलता है सारे। कौन से मार्केट में ज़्यादा रेट है और कौन से मार्केट में कम है?
किसी इसमें करोलबाग में ज़्यादा है।
करोलबाग में कितना देना पड़ता है?
यहाँ कितने हैं? 20 रुपये।
20 रुपये तेवाजारी देनी पड़ती है। बाकी में कहीं कहीं 15 भी है?
कहीं भी 15 भी हैं, 10 भी हैं।
10 भी है? 10 कहाँ है?
10 इधर कैंप की साइड है हमारे, और किस में क्या, और इधर है प्रताप, इंदिरा नगर है, त्रिनगर है, कई बाजारों में है 10 रुपये।
ये कम और ज़्यादा का फ़र्क क्यों है?
पीछे से ही है, बाजार के हिसाब जो चल रहा है शुरू से ऐसी। करोलबाग में ज़्यादा है बस, ये मार्केट का हिसाब है, यहाँ मेन मार्केट है,
जहाँ
मेन मार्केट का, मेन मार्केट।
1974 से।
आप लोग कितने लोग हैं सेम परिवार से इस धंधे में?
हम जी परिवार में मैं हूँ, माता जी पिताजी हैं, एक सिस्टर है, मैं, मेरी वाइफ, मेरे 2 बच्चे, इसी से काम करते हैं।
मदद करते हैं इसी में?
हाँ जी।
अच्छा, तो ये दिन भर में आमदनी कितनी हो जाती होगी?
अब आमदनी का हिसाब कोई नहीं है, अब कुछ नहीं मिलता, अब कुछ नहीं पड़ता, अब कंपटीशन हो गया है, खर्चे ज़्यादा हो गए, कमाई कम हो गई है। अब कुछ पल्ले नहीं पड़ता।
पहले बहुत मिलता
पहले अकेले ने हम सबको पाल लिया, हम इन अकेले को हमारे लिए पालना बड़ा मुश्किल हो रखा है आजकल।
पटरी मार्केट चलेगी सालों सालों तो, या खत्म हो जाएगी?
नहीं चलेगी, ऐसी बात नहीं चलेगी।
क्यों चलेगी?
सस्ता है फिर भी दुकानों से।
कौन खरीदता है?
देखो सब खरीदने वाले भीड़ लगी हुई है,
कौन
सब लेना।
आते हैं आप बताइए?
बड़े
क्लासेस से आते हैं?
छोटी क्लास से लेकर बड़ी क्लास तक आते हैं,
सब आते हैं?
सब आते हैं,
बड़ी बड़ी गाड़ियों वाले भी?
हाँ जी हाँ जी।
दिन भर में लगभग कितनी आमदनी हो जाती है?
हाँ,
दिन भर
अलग अलग मार्केट की है।
करोल बाग में कितनी हो जाती है?
हाँ, 5-10 के बीच में 1000
करोल बाग में।
हाँ,
और छोटी जगहों में?
अब अलग अलग है, मतलब 5 के एवरेज है अप्रोक्सीमेटली।
ऐसा बात है कि हम लोग फैक्ट्री से लाते हैं माल, ठीक है, वो ला के हम लोगों को देता है, यहाँ पर हम लोग बेचते हैं। थोड़ा पुलिस वाले हम लोग परेशान करते हैं, इधर उधर देख के भागते हैं।
तुम लोगों की तहबाजारी की पर्ची नहीं कटती?
नहीं, कुछ नहीं कटती यहाँ पर, और बाज़ारों में कटती है केवल इसे। हाँ जी।
कहाँ कटती है?
अरे पालम हुआ, लाजवंती हुआ, हाँ जी, ऐसे ऐसे बाज़ारों में पुलिस, हाँ जी, पुलिस वाले, हाँ जी,
यहाँ नहीं कटती?
नहीं, कुछ नहीं करती है। हाँ जी, थोड़ा साइड हो जाए, पुलिस वाले नहीं बोलते हैं सर।
बाजार में ज़्यादा का मिलता है, यहाँ थोड़ा 50-100 का फर्क हो जाता है।
कितने का होगा? 50-100 का?
100 का।
अगर मान लो पटरी मार्केट अगर हटाने का कुछ सिस्टम हो तो वो ग्राहकों के लिए परेशानी वाली बात होगी या ठीक होगा?
परेशानी होगी उनके लिए तो,
क्योंकि सस्ता माल मिल
गरीब आदमी तो फिर दुकानों पे नहीं जा पाएगा ना, इतनी महंगी चीज़ नहीं ले सकता।
मिलता थोड़ा।
क्या खरीदा आपने?
हमने ज़्यादा बच्चों के कपड़े वपड़े खरीदे हैं, और हाँ, टेडी बियर वगैरह बच्चों के सब सामान सस्ता मिलता है। कंबल हो गए, पैंटें हो गई, जीन्स हो गई बच्चों के लिए, अपने नहीं। अभी
कितने का फर्क पड़ जाता है दुकान, परमानेंट दुकान और पटरी की दुकान?
50% फ़र्क पड़ता है कम से कम।
50% का फर्क पड़ता
हाँ, बिल्कुल पड़ता है।
है। क्वालिटी में थोड़ा बहुत कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ हो तो चलेगा?
हाँ, क्वालिटी मतलब ज़्यादा सेम ही होती है, बहुत कम होता है क्वालिटी में फ़र्क हो। हाँ, थोड़ा ही फ़र्क होता है क्वालिटी में। बाकी उस शोरूम से लो ब्रांडिंग मोहर लगी होगी, यहाँ के मोहर नहीं होगी ब्रांडेड की बस।
Not too far from the glitzy malls and showrooms that have become such a symbol of the India story, money rotates in India big time on the street. Street food, cheap goods, the sheer joy of bargaining, a stroll maybe. There are several reasons which make a typical Delhiite throng to weekly markets. Weekly markets in India have become almost an entire parallel economy unto themselves. भैया थोड़ी सौंठ देना और
These markets, just as this sector, are unregulated and so far governed only under the National Policy on Urban Street Vendors 2009. Legislation for this sector is badly needed, feel representatives of street vendors.
We were successful in getting the national policy in 2004. Unfortunately, the government which adopted the policy had to go, and there was a new government. But the new government also adopted the policy. So it was left on us to popularize the policy, to take the policy to the state governments, to take the policy to the municipal bodies. So we help state governments to get their policy formulated, and then also we help the municipalities in organizing. After this policy, we are also have been demanding law. Fortunately, we have a model law which has been sent by the government of India to various state governments, but that model law lacks many important aspects, and so we are now advocating with government of India to not only have a law enacted by the parliament of this country, but also within that law, in that law, there has to be some important, the law should have important teeth.
Jivika, a centre for law, liberty and livelihood, run under the auspices of Centre for Civil Society, is one among many NGOs working for the betterment of those involved in informal modes of employment. It is also a member of NASVI.
What we are suggesting to the local government, also all the governments, that there can't be one solution to this problem. You know, we have to try out different solution. What works out at one place should be allowed there, but the same thing may not work at different place. So there are some kind of businesses that they feel, the street vendors, that they have to be on street, you know, displaying it, showing it, that creates the market, that attracts people, and this is the way things have been naturally. But also there are few street vendors who feel like that if the permanent structure is created, it's good for them.
When talking of reforms that will lead to the improvement of the lives of street vendors, Arvind is unequivocal in stressing on the need for their sector to be regulated.
See, they are very simple thing the national policy talks about and the act which we are aiming at. Now, what we are saying is that the vendors should be regulated. That is what we are saying. The cities in our country is free for all. Whatever you want to do, wherever you want to do, you decide and you start doing. There is no control, there is no regulation of the municipal body over the city. So what we are saying is that we want to be regulated. Now, how we want to be regulated is that we need a law, you know, that because law will make it mandatory for the municipal bodies and for the street vendors to follow, you know. So under the law, what we want is that there should be a town vending committee, you know. There should be a committee with representatives from street vendors and other stakeholders to regulate street vendors, to decide which can be the vending zones, which can be the no vending zones. We are not saying that we want to be everywhere, but we want to be where there are natural markets, where there is demand for our goods and services.
The basic problem with this sector is that it has not been handled in a democratic framework. If street vendors, citizens' representatives, government and local administrations sit together and try to find permanent solutions for this sector, things will not be so difficult. Until that happens, we can trust the resilience of the entrepreneurial spirit to keep street vendors going on. The street continues to keep them alive.